This is KGW News at noon.
I do not believe it's likely to have, but I don't know yet, likely to have any profound destabilizing impact on Japanese security or Japanese solidarity.
That's President Biden reacting to the shooting death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Good afternoon, I'm Drew Carney. Abe's death is our top story this afternoon. The assassination shocked a country where gun violence is virtually non-existent. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer has the latest.
Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated while giving a campaign speech. He was shot twice in the chest and neck, was airlifted to hospital where he died a few hours later. The assassination captured on video. You can hear two shots and from another angle see smoke billowing above the crowd. The 41-year-old suspected gunman was tackled at the scene. He's said to have a military background, and police say they seized what they described as a homemade shotgun. The attack is profoundly shocking for people in Japan, a country where gun violence is almost non-existent because so few people have guns. For a person to own a firearm in Japan, they have to pass through 12 steps, including a gun safety course, a written exam, and an extensive background check. Abe was also a political giant, still prominent in politics after stepping down in 2020 due to health reasons. He's credited with propping up the economy and reviving diplomacy for Japan, meeting with dozens of world leaders, including many U.S. presidents. The current Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, just spoke. He had tears in his eyes, calling the attack barbaric and despicable, adding, quote, "I just have no words." Abe's death sending shockwaves around the world. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
Also developing this afternoon, President Biden signed an executive order just a few hours ago to protect some abortion access in the U.S. His order comes exactly 2 weeks after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The order is expected to boost access to emergency contraception pills and medical care. At some point today, the president is expected to formalize instructions to the Departments of Justice and Health and Human Services to push back on efforts to limit abortion access. We do have some local headlines to get to as well, but first, a live look at the coast this afternoon from our Cannon Beach Skycam. After a pretty cloudy week, lots of sunshine is on the way. Here's Rod Hill now with a quick look at this weekend's forecast.
Easy day to be your weather person, and what a beautiful Friday it is turning out to be. You know, it's been clear up at Timberline all day, and the lower clouds we've had in the valley and over at the coast to start this morning are breaking up nicely as we thought they would. So your afternoon plans look golden. Your evening plans look golden as well. After being down to around 60 in the city this morning, temperatures up and down the valley now generally are right about 70 to 72. I like our chances of hitting 80 or better today. Yesterday we made it to 80, remember, for the very first time this month. We hadn't done it yet. 81 today, and your Friday evening plans look to be terrific as well, with temperatures in the 70s. I will tell you the entire weekend still looks dynamite for your weekend outdoor plans, and we'll have that 7-day forecast for you coming up shortly.
All right, more from Rod in a few minutes. Right now, let's get to a new COVID forecast, which is just out, and it shows the virus is not dying down this summer. Instead, two Omicron variants, BA4 and BA5, have taken over as dominant strains. Oregon hospitalizations have been going up again in recent weeks, but those numbers are expected to peak next week at a high of 479 patients. Also, keep in mind, experts say only about half of those patients are in the hospital for COVID. The other half went to the hospital for something else and tested positive once they got there. And here's something else to keep in mind. Even though not as many people are needing hospital care now compared to earlier in the pandemic, doctors say those who are getting infected with this latest strain are getting hit hard.
I have heard anecdotally many people who have contracted this subvariant BA4 and BA5 are having kind of a more severe flu-like illness, not bad enough that they need to be in the hospital, but they do not feel well. Fever, sore throat, feeling very poorly.
That's Dr. Katie Scharf, the chief of infectious disease for Kaiser Permanente Northwest. She expects 93 to 95% of us will eventually contract COVID-19. She also says if you're at high risk because of other health issues, you should have a plan right now with your doctor so you can start treatment for COVID as soon as possible if you do get infected. Another virus we're closely following right now is monkeypox. The Oregon Health Authority says there are 6 confirmed cases of monkeypox in the state. Those cases are in Multnomah, Washington, and Lane counties. The virus is spread through skin-to-skin contact and can cause a headache, fever, and a rash. Officials say it's not nearly as contagious as COVID, and the risk of transmission is low.
Without intervention, a person with HMPXV will transmit HMPXV to, on average, about 2 other people. In comparison, this same number for the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is 8. Therefore, in relative terms, HMPXV is not very transmissible and will not spread like COVID-19.
There are vaccines for monkeypox, but they're being held right now for people with known exposure and for people with underlying conditions. There are roughly 7,000 confirmed cases of monkeypox worldwide. All right, let's get to some of this afternoon's other local headlines. We start with this. A woman who was visiting her husband, I should say, in the hospital, now has serious injuries herself. She was leaving St. Vincent Hospital, crossing Barnes Road around 8 o'clock last night when a driver ran a red light and hit her. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says the driver took off. A nurse at St. V's jumped in to help the woman and stop her blood loss. Surveillance video captured the hit and run, but so far police are not releasing the description of the vehicle. We have a neighborhood alert for Northeast Portland and Gresham after a potentially dangerous man escaped from his treatment home. This is Christopher Hall, who was convicted of holding a woman hostage at knife point at a Portland McDonald's in 2019. He was found guilty except for insanity and was sentenced to 20 years at the Oregon State Hospital. But he was conditionally released to the group home where, again, he escaped this week. Hall was last seen in Northeast Portland between MLK and Grand Avenue yesterday afternoon, so if you see him, you should contact the police immediately. And one more local story here. A 75-year-old Navy veteran from Gresham hopes he gets one of his most prized possessions back. It's his Stars and Stripes motorcycle that he says was stolen right outside his apartment complex this week. Here's KGW's Alma McCarty with more.
Multiple times a week, if not multiple times a day, Edwin Anderson can be found with his fellow veterans.
I spent 20 years in the Navy. I sailed on 5 ships, stationed in 3 countries, spent 13 months in Antarctica.
He's a member of the Patriot Guard Riders. The group's mission is to honor service members and veterans.
It seems simple. A bunch of guys come out, stand with flags, and then we leave. But for the families, it really means something special. Whether there's 2 of us, I've done missions with just 2 of us, or there's 50 of us.
Outside PDX Thursday, the volunteers stand holding flags high to remember the life of a 24-year-old who was serving in the Navy. He died in a crash in Virginia Beach. His body returned home to his family in Oregon. Among the Patriot Guard's other missions, attending the funeral services of fallen American heroes.
Just asked me if I was available Monday. We got 2 missions Monday up at Willamette, and I said, yeah, I'm available, so I'll be taking the car.
Normally, the 75-year-old veteran would take his motorcycle, this 2011 Honda Shadow Aero with stars and stripes.
Well, that's a good paint job. It's not a paint job, it's a wrap.
He says his bike was stolen from right outside his apartment in Gresham, from this complex on 2700 Powell Boulevard. He noticed it was gone early Thursday morning as he was preparing to head out to Willamette National Cemetery.
Came out with my flags for the mission, and the parking space was empty. My neighbor said she went out for a cigarette at 3 o'clock and it was there. When she left for work at 5:30, the bike was gone. And I think they picked it because of the way it looked.
Anderson reported the theft to Gresham Police and to his insurance company. He's hoping for the motorcycle's return, though he has his doubts.
Like losing a family member. It really was. There was an empty spot right here.
Bike or no bike, his mission and service continues.
Take care of it. Don't strip it, ride it.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.